This is Ms. Whitaker again, and we're going to talk a little bit about tax, sales tax, and tip. Before we get into this problem in your notes, I do want to talk a little bit about tip. Usually we give a 15% tip. So that's just what's typical in our society today is 15%. If you work at a really fancy restaurant, you get 15% of the total food bill. If you work at Texas Roadhouse or just restaurants we go to all the time, you get 15% tip. They usually, waiters and waitresses do not get very much money per hour because a lot of their income comes from tips. So 15% is usually what's acceptable to give your service person, and if they do a good job. We want to make sure that we're rewarding them for doing a good job for us and servicing us well. The way I want you to think about tip, though, is 15%. I want you to think about is 10% plus half of 10%. And that way you can come up with tip really easily. So say, let's use an example. Say our food bill was $38.76, and I want to use a nicer number to figure out the tip really quickly, so I'm going to round that up to $40. You don't want to round it down because you don't want to cheat them out of any money, so I'm going to round it up a bit, so that rounds up to $40. Now, using the 10% rule, I move the decimal over, 1 to the left, move the decimal over 1 to the left, so 10% is $4. And then half of the 10% is $2. So if I add that together, I'd have a total of $6. So that would be my tip for a $40 food bill. So think of it as 10% plus half of 10%. And add that together for your tip. So do that, practice that with your family, and you'll get a lot of practice. So hopefully you'll go out to eat and enjoy that. All right, let's work on this problem. Let's talk a little bit about sales tax. Sales tax is usually it's a fee. It's just a fee that's imposed on your purchases, on goods sold, on services, and part of it goes to the state, part of it goes to the city, and part of it goes to the county. So you've got little percentages all built up into your tax rate. Now this tax rate here, there is a typo here, that should be an 8%. All right, so that should be an 8% sales tax. And then they decided, let's read from the beginning. Table below shows the cost and amount of items that the Travis family purchased last Saturday night when they went out to dinner. Table does not include sales tax or tip. So the sales tax 8%. They decided to tip their waitress 20% because she did a really good job. Remember, the normal rate is 15%. What would be the total bill that the Travis family would have to pay after tax and tip? Now, we're looking for the total bill after tax and tip. And something you need to understand is that we need to calculate the tax first and then do the tip. The tip should be on the total with the tax. So what we're going to do is total up all of our items ordered, and then that's our first step. Then we're going to find 8% of that to get our tax, get that total, and then do 20% of that for the tip. So there's a whole bunch of steps to this problem. So just do the first step at a time, and then do your second step, third step, one step at a time. So I know that salad, they got two salads at $3.90 each. So that's going to be what, $7.80. Then we have a $3.95, another $3.95, and then a $5 because that's two items at $2.50. And we're going to total all those up. So So I got $20.70. So that's the total of the food before tax. So let's find the tax first. And to do it this way, I'm going to go ahead and just multiply by the decimal equivalent instead of our percent bar. So I'm going to do 20.7, that's 2070. I don't really need that extra zero, don't need to add more digits. And then the decimal equivalent of 8%. Be really careful with this. Remember, we moved 2 over, and if there's a blank there, we fill it in with a 0. So that's going to be 0.08. And let's multiply. So that's 56. And then we're going to move our decimal over 1, 2, 3 times. 1, 2, 3 times. So that's $1.66. We have to round it because that 6 says that 5 needs to go up. So $1.66 tax. Now let's add that to our total of 2070. And so now we have a total of 2236, and that is the amount that we're going to find 20% for our great tip because she did such a great job. So 20% of 2236. Now we could set up our percent bar. 0%, 100%. The total is 2236, and we're looking for 20%, which would be about right there. And then we make our proportion. But I'm going to go ahead and do the multiply by the decimal again. 20%, the decimal is 0.2. So let's put that over here. We have 2236 times 0.2. So go over 3 places, and now my tip is going to be $4.47. So there's my tip, and I'm going to add it all up together. 2236 plus the 447. So it was $20.70, but that's not how much you pay. With the tax of $1.66 and with the tip of $4.47, you should have a total of $26.83. That's the total bill. And you may want to move it up. If you're paying it, just go ahead and make it $27. Give her the extra, what is that, 17 cents in her tip. All right, so hopefully you know a little bit more now about tax. And how it's imposed on goods and services. And it funds our government, basically. It goes a little bit goes to the state, some goes to the city, some goes to the county, and it pays for police officers, firemen. That's how the city and the state gets their income, their revenue from taxes. And then the tip is for the waitress who did a really good job and serviced you really well, so she deserves a good tip.